What is up, my kings, my queens, and my royals in between? I'm Lord Arsenal. This is Kaizo Ironmon Fire Red. Sort of. This is what I'm calling Lord's Ironmon, where I've taken the rules of Kaizo Ironmon and I've tweaked them ever so slightly just to see if some of the rules are, there to make things just harder for no reason, or if they make a legit thing where it does actually add the right amount of challenge to it. So pretty much the big difference here is there's no ban on Pokemon, no ban on abilities, and no ban on moves. And I've cut this down from going through every single run that I do just to either A, something that makes it to Brock, or B, has a banned Pokemon in it. So if you end up enjoying the content, definitely drop a like and a sub. It'll let me know I'm doing a good job. It'll let the algorithm know I'm doing a good job. And then more people will get to enjoy it, and then you'll get to see more of this face right here, and then you'll get to enjoy more fan-made Pokemon games and challenges. Souls-like content, retro content. We got a little bit here for everybody, so definitely a good place to be. Now, as you can tell, we pretty much go straight into it. Now, I will say more often than not, I usually start each of these episodes with my very first run, whether it goes good or not, just so I have some time to generally talk over some things, so that way we're not really missing out on things. I swear I know how to talk, but so we don't miss out on things, so that way I can kind of go over this, that, and the other thing, and then we don't really miss any of the actual things that go decently well. And I will say, as of right now, this Pinsir looking like it's gonna do pretty good, especially with the stab Megalhorn. Kind of nuts, right? But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this one at least makes it to Brock. First one right out the gate, kind of crazy, but if you haven't seen the previous episodes, the very first episode was runs 1 through 100 cut down to what was worked, and then these last 3 episodes have been runs 101 to 200. It's just some of them have actually been decently long runs of actually making it a good bit, so had to kind of split things up. One thing I have noticed is that the legendary Pokemon, or the pseudo legendaries, they don't normally make that big of a difference. I think it's more so of the fact that my RNG is not very good, so I don't get good stat spreads on them, or if I do, they just have bad movesets. But I can semi see how it could be beneficial, but I think in the long run, with how just random everything is, it doesn't make a difference in the overarching long run unless you get that unicorn of a Pokemon. But you can honestly get that unicorn of a Pokemon in any Pokemon, right? It's like you're always looking for good movesets, good stat spreads. That's the big thing. I don't think anything necessarily one way or another forces you to be oh, hey, this is too powerful, this makes it too easy. It's just more so of getting everything to just all throw together, right? Lovely. Okay, when do they start adding in ads into live YouTube streams? Because seriously, yesterday and today are the first times that I've ever ran into that situation. So yeah, very interesting, very interesting. But yeah, Pinsir definitely great setup here. More often than not, I kind of would avoid Pinsir only because I'm just never used to really using it as a Pokemon. But with the 500 base stat, just like Scyther, and I also believe Heracross also has a 500 base stat, Pinsir can be really good. Pinsir can be very good, right? And like I said before, with a stab Megalhorn, it's huge, especially with the attack where it's at. I'm sitting here trying to think, what ends up taking us out here? Because just looking at this, I feel like we should be pretty well set. We got decent attack. We have a good set of moves overall. I feel like we got decent enough coverage. Our defense was almost 30, so that feels pretty good, right? Yeah. See, probably one of the easiest first trainer battles I've ever had. Usually they take out some form of health on me, but no, not that time. It was one shots left and right. Right, the back-to-back rollouts, and somehow I somehow end up missing 2 bone rushes in a row. If I didn't miss those bone rushes, we probably would have been fine. Just because of how good we were like knocking everything else out. It's just losing out on those bone rushes really, really ruined us. Now, oddly enough, like, and it's like, and I've yet to, I don't think I've really ran into a situation like this, but usually when you find Plusle and Minance, at least for me, they're always a bit tanky. Like, level 6, and it already has 16 and 16 defense. Now, granted, the 9 special defense is kind of off, kind of weird, but it's usually got at least some kind of tank to it. I'm trying to think, with electric only really being like its only real problem being ground, it's like with having that high defense, that's actually just pretty good in general. Now granted, I wouldn't want to take any kind of special attack with only 9 special defense. Like, a special attack's gonna just hurt in general, but there shouldn't really be any like extra like damage coming in, right? Now, the nice thing here is, like, 15 speed, that's actually pretty decent for the most part. 15's probably going to allow us to get away from most battles. And there it is. There's what we're pivoting to. That's why we're in this run. It's because there's a Dragonite here. And perfect. At level 8 pretty quickly. Normally, I don't get that lucky, especially in Route 2 here. Because for whatever reason, Route 2 just loves to not let me have anything. Stat spread here, I wish it was a bit faster. I wish it had less special attack. Like, swap the special attack and the speed for me, and then I'd be feeling pretty darn good with what we have here. But I mean, at the very least, we could Secret Power and Powder Snow our way through some things if necessary, but it's definitely not in the greatest spot. And I know we have Sturdy, but I think Sturdy works oddly differently in its original like Gen 3 format. Because I'm pretty certain that we died to like a Rock Slide that one hit KOs us. And normally it would just, Sturdy would activate and be like, haha, no you don't. But for whatever reason, it's just like, yeah, no, you're not. It's like, we're not gonna activate Sturdy. So I think it quite literally only prevents like one hit KO moves like Horn Drill, Guillotine, and all that. I'm also just now realizing I think I skipped a battle. I wonder if I'm gonna go back to that or getting I don't know, it was poison. Maybe it was another Dragonite that got us. I mean, even if we did get all the battles, it wouldn't have done us any good. I went Entei here just because there was at least a chance, like, if I also got a fire move, it would have been at least a stab fire, and it would have done decently well against Credilli. Unfortunately, though, again, like I said before, when it comes to RNG in this game, nothing's safe. Nothing is guaranteed. I will say I was very tempted to take the Scizor there, because Scizor is one of my favorites that I have set up, and Scizor is actually a pretty good Pokemon overall when it comes to the typing, between being immune to poison as well as not having to worry about Sandstream. Absolutely huge. Now, a lot of people will be turned off of the fact that it's like, oh, but you got 4 times weakness to fire, but a lot of people, when you see them playing this, if they can evolve their Pokemon into a Dragonite, they'll be very excited for that, but they're 4 times weak to ice, so there's no real amount of difference there. And granted, yeah, you get I can't remember off the top of my head, what was Dragonite's base stat, like 6 something? It's at least 6 something, so you're getting over 100 extra base stats, so maybe it balances out a bit, but I've had a lot of good runs with some Scizors. And as like, I think it's just always worked. Especially in this specific like Kaizo Ironmon type run, I was like, I always like give a little bit more like credence to steel types. Dealing with a steel type, very nice. Yeah, and I think we had a low special defense on that Zapdos, and that's why that Latias just absolutely ruined us. But we went with the only right choice with Ice Ball there to even stand a chance. Stantler getting out by the skin of its teeth. Genuinely surprising. Now, if you are generally new to Kaizo Ironmon and you're still here with me, one thing that you will more often than not notice is even if you get like a decent Pokemon out of the lab, if it doesn't hit level 8, more often than not you'll see most people try and pivot. Because 7's not bad, but it's like you want it to be at 8 at bare minimum just to make your life easier. Now, right here, this Stantler, if I can get a quick chance to really look at, like, it's not bad. It's got good defense, but its attacks are just not really where you want it to be. It's like you kind of want the attacks to be like one especially higher than the other, and like when you go to be about like level 8, you want to see like 30. 12 is just not here. Like, it has decent defenses and it has decent HP, so it could probably honestly tank some hits, but it's not quite like what you need it to be, right? That and it's all special moves. Like, if in all honesty, like if this was just a regular run and I wasn't like trying to see if I could possibly find banned Pokemon to see what I'm going with, there, if it had nothing but physical moves, I might be like, you know what, it might not be able to actually, you know, do a lot of damage, but it should be able to take a decent amount of damage, so I'd consider giving it a try. I will say the 11 speed is also generally disappointing. You want to see that at least a bit higher. Alright, this one's a little bit more even across the board when it comes to its attacks. The big thing here is, again, the speed just a bit too low. Just a bit too low. But if I remember correctly, it had a nice like bit of like, it had a nice moveset. Like, yeah, a nice like kind of even split, so you could go either or, especially with the attack and special attack being the same thing. It's kind of nice to have like that wide variety of options, even though that's not like the stat spread you want. I think what I'm doing here is I'm trying to figure out if I want to go Rhydon or if I want to take the Chansey. I know I was trying to see exactly what the deal is with the Rhydon and its moves. I think based on its moves, I'm not necessarily here for it, and I'm not committed to keeping the Octillery. So I'm definitely looking for the Chansey here. And if I remember correctly, it takes a minute, which I think I probably bumped this up to like either 800% speed or 1600% speed, and then obviously because of like how I set this all up, I've compressed the video itself down to another 200% speed, so we're probably looking at anywhere from 800% speed bare minimum all the way up to 3200, which is kind of nuts to think about. But yeah, it's definitely one thing that you realistically have to do if you want to try and get into Kaizo Ironmon. You got to get used to playing at least 400 speed. Now, I will say there are certain things where you need a little bit more finesse, where you have to drop the speed down from 400, like the hidden item that's in front of the Lash Trainer in the forest. I normally bump the speed down back to like its original 100% like normal speed, so that way I can like just tap the button, up button enough so that I'm like right there, so I don't have to worry about the battle. Especially if I'm like, okay, I really want to scout out the items to see what could really be beneficial. I've been able to do it at 400, but I can't do it consistently because sometimes it takes that button press like a fraction of a second too long, and it's like, okay, instead of going up one, you're going up 2 spaces, and then oopsie, you're in a battle. Which, that's not great. Is it doable to win that fight? As like, if you do that fight the first, yeah, you can. It's just you need things to be on your side to be able to pull that off. But yeah, if you've seen any of my previous videos, or like I mentioned earlier, you will notice that for whatever reason, when it comes to Route 2, it does not like to show me Pokemon. At least not the ones that I want. More like the fact that we've seen all 4 spawns here, genuinely surprising. More often than not, I don't normally get to see all 4. I get to 3 at most, and then usually by the time I get to the 3rd, I'm like, okay, I need to move on. I need to move on, and the 4th option's probably not going to be that great anyways, knowing my luck. And that's another thing that I would generally say is sometimes you gotta figure out what's like what your options might be, right? Like you want to scout out and kind of gather up as much information as possible, but it's one of those things like after a certain point it's like, okay, when is it time to cut your losses? I think in like this kind of scenario where you're just like taking whatever run ends up working best for you, and that's what you end up putting out, take the time to look. You're kind of just on your own time. It's like go until you're just like, I can't deal with running back and forth anymore. Now if you're like live streaming this, and this is where I've kind of gotten to the point when it comes to streaming this, is unless you have people there that are like actually really into Kaizo Ironmon type stuff, like your average viewer probably not going to care about this, even if it like they're like, yeah, no, I enjoy watching Pokemon and all that, but it's not it, right? I think I saw that Milotic, and it's like I think I know exactly what happens. Yeah, it's like I come here, I try to catch the Milotic, now we swap off here, and I'm probably sitting here thinking, it's like as I'm running back, I was like, okay, maybe the Milotic's at least good enough so that way I don't have to worry about only having 12 speed and I can run away more often. And then we look at the stats. Grant, the defense awful, but the special attack being that high and having flamethrower and hydro cannon, it's like, okay, you could probably push your way through a lot of your problems here, right? Now the fact that the special attack is that high and we have flamethrower, and the fact that we haven't like one shot just tells me that we're already running into things that have high special defense. Like especially right here with Sceptile, it's a super effective move. It's like we have a high special attack and it survived. It either has incredibly high special defense or it has high special defense and HP. Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to think. Like, I think I'd just go for the hydro cannon on. No, I'd go for. Ooh. So you see how that flamethrower almost like completely took out that Quagsire? It's like it had to have had really low special defense, and its water ground typing completely saved it there, right? Hydro cannon, that should be a no-brainer. Then we gotta wait. Then we go for flamethrower. And that's a one-shot. So it either has like an average special defense or a low special defense. And I will say I'm somewhat okay at generally guesstimating like, okay, what's like where like the enemy's Pokemon stats are kind of like sitting at type of deal. Just based on like how well they take an attack or not. But I'm definitely not great at it. I will say having 58 speed plus speed boost right now feels like a little bit of overkill, but it's nice. So that way, anytime we're in a longer battle, if by some miracle something's faster than us, probably a turn or two in, I'm already faster. Now, the biggest thing that comes up here is Hydro Cannon. Obviously, it takes a turn to recharge, which sucks. And it only has 5 PP, and we don't have another what's the word? We don't have another special move here, so not necessarily looking great, right? But at the very least, like we're making it to Brock. That's a big thing, and I'll say this, like it's for how many runs I've played through so far, getting to Brock is pretty much a pretty big deal. Like if you can get past Brock, cool. And from what I've could tell, like usually if you get past Brock, unless you get unlucky, like on the way to Mount Moon or in Mount Moon, you're at least making it to Misty, if not further, more often than not. And then right here, it's like you have to go for the Hydro Cannon. But between the Sand Stream and the extra little things, we took way too much damage. And having the Onyx with the Drizzle immediately completely lowering our Flamethrower, just an absolute killer. Absolute killer that you hate to see. It doesn't have that Drizzle, we're probably killing a handful more things. Now, granted, this Kangaskhan here, crazy amount of special defense. Even with the Drizzle, I don't think we would have made it through. And here's where you go, okay, we're going up against the Shen Ninja. This kind of sucks. You literally have nothing. It's like, but we get lucky here, because for some reason, the rival decides, you know what, it's a good idea, we're going to use Hail. Hail's a good idea, where it's just going to do damage to both of us, and because I have 1 HP, it's not going to matter. But then you run into a Ponyta with a Flamethrower that just absolutely melts your Articuno. Like, to get out of the lab that way and then just immediately get toasted by the first wild Pokemon you see, nuts. But sometimes that's just how it is. Sometimes that's just how it is. Yeah, so luckily this Ninjask has absolutely no moves, because otherwise, like, if it had like any kind of like, if it had one dark move, we probably would have been dead. We probably would have been dead. 10 out of 10. Because that Ninjask just had crazy special defense. Now, unfortunately, with this Mewtwo, has pretty good attack, but we have nothing but special attack moves, which really sucks. Like, swap the attack with the special attack, and then you have the stab confusion. I probably would have been pretty okay with this. Now, in all honesty, especially with the attack and special attack not working with the moveset we have, and the special defense being a 9, more often than not, I'd probably say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say no here, and we're going to try and pivot to something that might work out. But at this point in time, I'm just trying to be better about, okay, we have a banned Pokemon. It's like the main reason why we're doing this is so that we can actually see what like if they do make a big difference or not. And I know I've said this before, and I'll probably say it a handful more times. It's all about where everything lines up, and everything is too random to essentially say one way or another, like if it would make a difference. Because if you honestly take a legendary and you give it like the stat spreads that you need with the right moveset, you're probably going to get the same general results if you have a regular Pokemon that doesn't fall under that banned category. If it has a good moveset, a stat spread, you're going to get the same general results. Yeah, is it probably technically easier if you get the perfect rolls on a legendary? Yeah, sure, of course, because you got more base stats to work with. Your stats are going to be a little bit higher, you're going to hit a little bit harder, you're going to be able to survive a little bit more. But it doesn't like full on like guarantee that you're gonna win. So definitely, if you're still watching along with me right now, if you have been trying Kaizo Ironmon and you haven't been finding any luck, and you want to have that extra little bit of a chance to maybe have a better run, it's like, do what I'm doing. Take the Lord's Ironmon challenge. Pick whichever Pokemon you want. It doesn't have to be random. It's like, use a Pokemon that's a banned Pokemon. It's like, do what you got to do to help yourself out. I will say it made things mildly more interesting, and I felt like I was able to slightly faster move through some things because I didn't have to think nearly as much of like, oh, hey, I can't use this move, so I gotta make sure I don't use it. Or, oh, hey, this Pokemon's banned, but I would like to use it and I just can't. Like Metagross here. It's like, you know what? I don't even need to see what all your moves are. You're a banned Pokemon. Let's just get to this. And overall, pretty great. I wish the attack and the defense were switched, or like maybe the attack and the special defense at the very least, but special attacks in the right spot. Unfortunately, we don't have any special moves, which is a real killer here, but at least lucky enough our attack's okay, so we could probably get away with using using these physical moves just to keep going by, and maybe we get lucky and we pull a special attack down the lane. I will say it's also one of those things where, unfortunately for us, like, also the moves that we have aren't necessarily all that great. Because Fury attack, honestly, awful. Hate it. Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way we're making it past this Articuno, because yeah, it was getting confused and hitting itself every so often, and that was helpful. Wasn't gonna be that lucky. Was not gonna be that lucky. I'm never that lucky. The fact that I even have any kind of chances of possibly hitting a 5-stack, kind of nuts. It doesn't happen, right? It just doesn't happen. All right, so we're starting off with the Hilarion. I know we get out of here, obviously, but is this one where we make it to Brock, or is this one where we find a banned Pokemon? That's the big question. Because it could be either or. I mean, obviously with the 7 speed, we're 100% pivoting. More often than not, it's like no matter what Pokemon I may or may not get, if I end up having a Pokemon with single digit speeds when I'm coming out the lab, I'm pivoting. I'm pivoting no matter what. Because speed is 100% a big killer in this. Steelix. All right. I see my pivot option already. He's big, he's bad, he has over 500 base stat, he's steel, so he's avoiding a lot of dangerous damage that can show up at times. And honestly, this Remoraid, kind of nuts. Like, good moves, I'm assuming good stats based on how much damage it did. But good stats for a little Remoraid doesn't really mean much when you have 300 base stat. Like, evolving at 25, that could mean something. It could mean nothing. I feel like it might be an interesting run attempt at one time. It's like you just pick the smallest Pokemon and you just go and you see how far you can get while leveling it up, and seeing like how many evolutions you can pull off, right? Like, I feel like that would probably be pretty neat. All right, Blaze Kick and Ice Punch, pretty great here. If it still has the Blaze Kick and Ice Punch, I feel like obviously that's gonna be what we need. We lose out on the Ice Punch, big sad. Special attack's not nearly as high as I was assuming it was. It's more attack, which is kind of surprising, especially for like the amount of damage it was doing. I would have imagined its special attack would have been higher, but we also didn't see any of its like physical moves, so we didn't really have much of an option here. I think we're about to like get out of here with like pure luck, because obviously we're sticking with Steelix. You never pivot after you do your first trainer battle in the forest. Whatever you get is what you get. Learning Mud Slap's kind of huge here. We now have a stab move. Granted, Mud Slap's not like great by any stretch, but you know, it's better than nothing. It's like, got lucky and hit the second dynamic punch, which I know it's what, an 80% accuracy move for a dynamic punch. I never, like, I don't know why. It's just oh, okay, it's 50. Okay, I was looking at something else when I said 80. Okay, for a 50% accuracy move, I feel like it has less than 50% accuracy. I don't think I ever get that lucky. Like, literally, I just went through what, all 5 dynamic punches, missed every single one of them. That's like, it's like I should at least be hitting 2 out of 5. But nope, just absolutely nothing. Just 0. You get out of here. So that there, why I went for the blaze kick. I was like, okay, desperation move, go for the blaze kick, hope for the burn, stop any extra physical damage coming in, because I think he was using physical moves, and I think lucking out on that blaze kick saved us. I was gonna say, I think I just ran past an item, but I caught it. I caught it. I realized, wait, hold on, I missed something here. All right, and just like that, we are guaranteed the rival battle. I will say, I don't think I've ever really noticed Machamp ever being that good. I will say the big thing here when it comes to Steelix is only having that 16 speed hurts. It hurts a lot, but we also have kind of like crazy HP going on here. So I'm like, well, it was like, I think this is probably one of our better bets. We could probably tank a lot of hits and we should probably be somewhat okay. Like, even if we get hit with a super effective move, I don't think it'll be a one-hit KO, right? Alright, so now we're guaranteed Brock. Unfortunately, Swarm is like literally doing us 0 good because we don't have a bug move, but it would actually really work out if we got a bug move. Like, if we got something like X Scissor, Mega Horn, Signal Beam, like any of those would be really great, because with where our attack is, plus having Swarm, that would be rather helpful. Now, especially with our attack being only at 37 at level 17, that kind of sucks, because like I mentioned before, I don't remember if I mentioned it specifically in this video or if I mentioned it in like a past video, but you kind of want your, like, the great, like, holy grail you're looking for is you want to see like about 30 attack at level 8. So not in a great spot. Not in a great spot. Oh yeah, he immediately puts us to sleep over and over again, and we aren't able to do any real amount of damage. It's like, it's just the never-ending story of just not waking up. Oh yeah, we went for the wrap, and we missed both times, and that allowed the focus punch to get off. It the That's twice now in just this video alone where we probably would have been okay if it would have actually let us, oh, I don't know, hit a move. Like, we hit the wrap, we stop the focus punch, then we move on to actually hitting with actual attacks, and we move on. I don't know how many Pokemon Brock had left, and there's a chance something bigger and badder would have showed up, but there was a fair chance that we could have at least pushed through. All right, Luster Purge and Weather Ball. Special attack is garbage, so Luster Purge is essentially worthless. Weather Ball, not the worst move, and we have decent enough attack at 23 at level 7. I'm not mad about it. 23 at 7, not mad about it one bit. That is one thing that I know I've mentioned before, and just in case if I didn't mention it already, one thing that the legendaries have going against it is they take a lot more experience to actually level up. So more often than not, you're leaving the lab at like level 6, and if you're like, okay, I'm gonna stick with the legendary, you're usually playing, you know, behind the 8 ball, and you're not in the best spot. And I think we're dead here because Luster Purge is probably our best bet here. And I dropped Elite Seed. Oh yeah, and I sketch out Revenge. Right, that was a good sketch there for us. That's right, I completely forgot that I ended up getting Sketch, and I was able to just pull a decent physical move that kind of helped us out. Unfortunately, it doesn't help us out a whole lot. Yeah, who would have guessed? Magikarp taking out a Raikou. Wild. Well, that's about 200 runs over 4 episodes, including anything that made it to Brock, anything that had a banned Pokemon. I think I'm probably generally going to call this series here, unless like these videos happen to do decently well. If they happen to do well, expect to see more, because honestly, I enjoy kind of going over this. I'm just not 100% sure how kind of like talking over these things and not just talking through what I'm doing while I'm playing. I don't know how that necessarily works out. Maybe I can find a nice like little middle ground of like, I play it off stream, I talk over what I'm doing, and I only keep in the good stuff type of deal. Like maybe that'll be a nice middle ground, but it's like I need to try something different, right? Just to kind of see how it go, what people would like, and how everything kind of, you know, falls together. But if you made it this far in the video, thank you for your time. I truly do appreciate it. Like I've said at the beginning at all of these videos, if you are actually enjoying the content, like and sub. Let me know in the comments down below if you like this whole like kind of voiceover, talking over what we're doing and this, that, and the other thing. So either A, we can keep pushing this forward, or if you have a suggestion on how you would like to see this possibly go, let me know. It's like, because I'm not set on this idea. Like it's okay for now, but I'm not sold on it, right? But either way, thank you again for your time. Truly do appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next one.